Yes, this segment of the Sports Show with Woody and Les and everyone else brought to you by John Elway Cadillac of Park Meadows, Colorado's #1 Cadillac dealer. There's something that's really been bugging me lately. This offseason, for some reason in particular, it's been bugging me. Every time there's a free agent with a name, everybody around here goes, should the Broncos pick him up? Should the Broncos pick him up? Whether it makes sense or not. Should the Broncos pick him up? A guy was let go by the San Francisco 49ers yesterday, and everybody, he's an offensive lineman who we don't usually know, but we know him because he got into the Richie Incognito thing in Miami. He was bullied by Incognito and a couple other offensive linemen, and he ended up leaving the Dolphins. Jonathan Martin is the guy, a second-round draft pick of Miami out of the University of Stanford. He ended up going to San Francisco last year. He played 15 games. He started 9, and now San Francisco's let him go. So whoever picks him up next, if somebody picks him up next, it's going to be his third team in 3 years. Should we be asking this question? I mean, should the Broncos be looking at Jonathan Martin? I know they have a need on the offensive line, particularly at right tackle. He's played right tackle. Is this a guy they should be looking at?
Yes, I think so. The Incognito situation, and Richie, by the way, is playing back in the league with the Buffalo Bills. Not playing, but he was signed by them, so I assume he'll be playing. And people say that when his name came up, the Broncos brought him in last year. Remember that?
They did.
They took a look at him last year, and I wasn't in favor of that. He was the bullier. This is the bullyee. Jonathan Martin, and the reason why I came up with this question was, I'm not.
No, it's worth debating. It just seems to happen every time a guy is available.
It's a topic for 3 reasons. One, he was a second-round draft choice.
Yes.
So he was considered quality material. You wonder how much all of last year was totally affected by it.
Yeah.
Number 2 draft choice, an offensive lineman. What do the Broncos need more than anything?
No, you're right.
And number 3, you know as well as I do, John Elway, who's sponsoring this segment, thank you, John, that John Elway loves those Stanford guys. He loves those ties to Stanford.
He does.
So why wouldn't John Elway, who knows more about Stanford football than anybody will ever know, I mean, he had close ties always to Stanford, that he's gone back and checked out Jonathan Martin's past, found out what a kind of guy he was. And I think the bullying, you go, well, this guy's a wuss, that he couldn't handle pro football. Why take a chance? 49ers cut him. Maybe that was a little too close to home. After leaving Miami, maybe he needs to get away from all the stuff that happened rather than going back to San Francisco, which is right there by Stanford. And here's the other part. A lot of that had to do with Incognito and the others talking about his mother and his parents. That would have an effect on anybody,
sure.
I think.
Well, I wonder how damaged he is.
And the obscene words, the words that they used to him, and we all know what we're talking about. I just think a combination of all that things probably set him back. He's probably not the toughest guy who ever played the game, mentally or physically.
Well, and that's the question, mentally and physically.
Well,
how damaged is he?
Okay, you're John Elway. You give him a call and said, we'd like to give you a shot. We're going to do what they did in Washington with the big fat guy, pot roast. We're going to give you $3-4 million make good contract for 1 year. We'd like for you to come in, and we'd like to handle this
probably don't even have to give him that
possible.
much.
Well, I'm just saying, let's high end, that if you get into a bidding war, maybe you won't have to, that you can say $2 million or 1.5, or we'll give you a bonus if you start. But the guy did start 9 games for the 49ers.
Why did they let him go? That's what I can't understand. Why? I know he was a Harbaugh guy, and Harbaugh's gone now. But if the guy can play, it doesn't matter if he's a Harbaugh guy or not.
Well, I'm telling you, I think mentally he still wasn't adjusted from what happened.
Could
be.
be.
He may be not a tough-minded player. But don't you think that it's worthy of a discussion, not only here, but it's worthy of a discussion with the Broncos, that you need offensive linemen. You're thinking about drafting one in the first or second round. This might be your solution. You might be able to go in different directions with your first 3 or 4 draft choices. You still need another offensive lineman.
It's
probably,
worth a
but
visit to sit across the table from him and see what's going on in his head.
Why not?
Absolutely.
I mean, what is wrong with that? I mean, you don't have to sign him, but bring him in for a couple of days. Let him see Colorado. Maybe he would like Colorado as a totally different area to live.
Maybe he'll be refreshed.
Maybe if he doesn't sign with a team, he'll go to some marijuana stores on Broadway.
When you go to buy a car, what do you really want? You probably want a lot of cars to choose from. And you want the dealership's best price. Not some starting price or target price, the best price. And you want it immediately, not after hours of negotiating. And you want a salesperson who doesn't get paid more if you spend more. Because, well, you don't want to spend more. Well, you're in luck. John Elway wants all of those things too. Better yet, John Elway wants you to have all of those things too. Come see us or click on elwaydealers.com.